Hello, how are you? Hope you're good. So guess what? I actually have a tag today to film. I haven't done a tag in what feels like months, because it probably is. I think my last tag was definitely back in 2017, I'd say. Anyway, I've been tagged by the lovely Beck from Beck and Books. I will link her channel down below as well as the creator of the tag. The tag is called the No Disclaimer book tag, which I think basically is like another version of unpopular opinion tag, because I think the questions are fairly negative, so I'm not, and I think that I am not allowed to put a disclaimer here. So can I just ask you all to be understanding and kind instead? And let's get into it then. Question number one is one trope that really annoys you in books. I have a phrase that I really don't like when people include in books, is when someone that is supposed to be a bright character is gonna say something and then they dumb it down and ask through a silly character, can you say, what is that in English? And I don't speak geek speak or something like that. And that really annoys me because I feel like it's sort of like an insult to the reader, because even if you don't really understand or like it wasn't clear and you want to make sure that all of the readers understand exactly what is going on, there are other ways to do it, and I feel like it really just grinds my gear, that one. But it's not really a trope, is it? So for the trope, I would say the good best friend guy character that is in love with the best friend person, but the best friend person is with has an interest in some other, like either a bad guy or bad girl or whatever, like they're completely oblivious to the fact that their best friend is in love with them. The whole shenanigan of that situation, I'm just like so over with. Nothing about it really intrigues me. It doesn't leave anything for me. I don't know, it just annoys me. I don't like that one. Number two is overhyped or overrated authors. Now, I don't really have one for this one, in a sense that I read their books and I was like, yeah, it's alright. The only one that I do have is that I read one of their books, and I know that it gets like 100 times better as you go along, and it's a favorite of so many people. And that is The Mortal Instruments, and whatever the series goes on into like expanding, because it's just like it has like a bloody book tree by now. I read the first book and I understand that as I said, it gets more complex and it gets more interesting and more appealing. However, the one thing that stopped me from reading is me reading some articles on the actual author. I didn't really, I don't tend to like go and search for that, but I wanted to educate myself in this particular manner, and it feels like that author which is Cassandra Clare, at least in the past, had a really kind of nasty way of interacting with her followers and just being a little bit like shady and shifty with her stuff. And that, plus the fact that I didn't necessarily love the one book that I read of hers, which was the City of City of Bones. I just triggered so many people, didn't I? I wasn't in love with it, and I don't know, maybe it's just media and maybe they're twisting everything, because it is media, you can't really trust the media, but you know what I mean. As I said, I don't really have a proper answer to this. Number three is the least favorite book that you read since joining BookTube. The very, very least favorite book. I didn't actually hate any of the books that I read since joining. I think my least favorite book has to be from the Grisha trilogy, the number one book, Shadow and Bone. If we're talking about fiction books, I read one non-fiction and it was horrible. But I disliked it at the time that I read it, and now looking back, I have zero recollection of what even happened. Before you hate me though, I did enjoy Six of Crows, so there's that. Yeah, something with that book just really did not fit my personal preference. Maybe it was the timing, most likely it was the writing and the theme of it, and the amazing amount of tropes in that book. But yeah, it wasn't for me, and I think it's probably the most, but even then it's not like I hated it, I just didn't enjoy it. Number four is terrible ending that ruined the book for you. For me, it's more like a terrible ending to the book. It's not even terrible. I feel like I don't have extreme emotions when it comes to this. It's more like a terrible conclusion to the series that sort of ruined the series to me, and that would be, yeah, the Raven King from the Raven Cycle books. Oh man, I was unsatisfied. It's not that I hated that book, but I was very unsatisfied with the conclusion of it. I felt like it just lost its purpose somewhere in the middle of the series, and it felt flat, and it's sort of like a little bit ruined it. Number 5 is a little bit of a spoilery question, so I'll figure out the solution in a second. And the question is, what one character from the fictional world would you save from being killed off? So this is a character that's like killed off in a series, but I would want to save. And if I had to choose one, I honestly, it wasn't even like a question. I came up with that like instantaneously in my head, because to this day I still think about it and how messed up that is. But this is random, but whatever. It's a character from Harry Potter books. If you haven't read Harry Potter books and you don't want to be spoiled, mute me until I put this candle down. Random, but whatever. Candles up. Spoilers are up. Mute me. The character that I would absolutely save is Fred Weasley. The fact that a twin was killed still boggles my mind. I would probably rather have Ron die than Fred, just because the twin bond, and the fact that George was not able to make a Patronus afterwards, because of course he wasn't, because there's a bond between twins that you just cannot... I can't comprehend how she killed Fred off. Okay, that's the character that I would save, like, in a blink. Because I can't rest knowing that that character is dead. Number 6 is Bookish pet peeve, and you know what? Rewind for me saying that dumbed down, like, oh, what is that in English phrase, and put it into this answer. Number 7 is books that you think should have more recognition. So I have a few here. First one is Genesis. I don't really see this a lot of places, but maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. I'm sure people talk about it. But this is sort of like a philosophical read that you only realize what is happening at the very last pages, unless you predict it. But yeah, quite interesting, and I really can't say it's such a quick read. It's like a utopian thing, but set as an exam that lasts for 3 hours, and the book is separated into 3 parts, and you only realize what actually is happening at the very end. Can't really say much about it unless I spoil it. The next one is Some, which is a little tiny book of 100 pages. It's by David Eagleman, and this one, sorry, was by Bernard Beckett. This one is 40 absolute guesses and just theories of what afterlife and what the creation of life and who is in control of life. And it's really thought-provoking. It's way less crappy than I anticipated. I thought it was gonna be like very much with like religion and stuff, which I'm not into, but it's not. It's very interesting, and I think that a lot of people would find it. Some of them are really funny, and it's really quite easy to read because all of the theories are like only like a couple of pages long, so it's really enjoyable. Anyway, another one is We'll Save the Galaxy for Food, and it's a hilarious sci-fi. This is the book about the world after this galactic war, where the sort of like veterans and the pilots are left like glorified taxi people, and they're quite like poor and it's hard to make a living, and this guy sort of like gets tired of it, and there's opportunity, like a shady opportunity gets in the way, and he's like, sure, why not? And then he gets tangled into this like semi-mafia space business, and it's actually really hilarious, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And I also don't really see people speaking about this, and I feel like people should read / listen to this. Number 8 is Thoughts on Banning Books. This is a very layered topic. Without going really deep into the issue of that, at the core, I don't think that books should be banned. However, I do think that there should be some control over what is made available, because books can be really triggering and harmful, especially when they are to do with ideologies, and if given to really young and easily influenced people, it could damage a lot. But then who's to decide what is right and what is wrong, and what should be made available and what shouldn't? And this is the whole, like, you could argue that everything should be available to everybody and they should filter, but the problem, I think, is when it comes to people who are influenced by those books, and it's at the core wrong from your perspective. So it's an interesting one. As I said, I don't think that books should be banned, but I feel like there should be at least trigger warnings and also some type of control. But how do you achieve that without being selective to your subjective beliefs is another issue, and yeah, I don't know. what do you guys think? And the last question is question number 9, and that is who you tag. So I'm quite bad at keeping up with tags, so I don't know if you guys already done this and if you want to or not, but at the top of my head I'm gonna tag Jade from Jade Reads, although I'm fairly certain that Beck already tagged her. I'm gonna tag AJ so he has an excuse to make more videos. Gonna tag Jess from Jess Reads Books if she hasn't done this already, although Beck might also have tagged her. And I'm also gonna tag Vanessa from Paper Fairy, and if you guys have done this, then I'm so sorry. And if you haven't, then here's a video idea for you. As I said, I'm a little bit rubbish at keeping up with the tags at the moment, so if you've tagged me into something and I have rudely missed it, could you let me know down in the comments. Also, if you want to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged just now. Do it, it's pretty fun. I quite enjoyed myself making this. And if you don't have any social medias that you would like to do this on, you can also just answer all of these questions down below, because I would be very interested to hear your thoughts on these questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Would you like me to try and do more tags again? I don't know, is that something you'd be interested in? Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!